Hi, this is Trey Passer, and this is going to be my review of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Episode 8 called The Well. Okay, this one takes place after the events of Thor the Dark World, for those who've seen it, and I've seen it. Okay, this is basically the aftermath S.H.I.E.L.D. of what happened in London, and the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents go there to basically clean up to see any, clean up any strange alien artifact or anything. They have to basically do cleanup duty. Plus, you even get Agent May and Sky joking about how Thor is dreamy. Uh, anyway, then they, they, call some jokes around about knowing Thor and met Thor and all that other crap. Okay, they also flash back to Norway, where you see a young couple at, in the forest, and a man and a young woman. He's sawing on a tree. They're looking for something, and then they apparently find this big long tree, and he chainsaws it down, and then he actually chainsaws it open, and he finds a staff, okay, with his actually as guardian staff, okay, which he comes down and he tells her to grab it, and tells her basically to feel the power and the rage, and of course she does that, and then of course then you see the I guess you say the park rangers come along and tell him what are they doing, and then the female turns around and basically punches the punches the guy in his chest, and he goes flying right out of the picture. Okay, and then so of course then Shield has to come investigate that strange happening, because the other ranger that was with the guy, he basically said he ran because he was scared, and he describes the young couple that were with them, and then okay, after a little bit of investigation, they discover that that's of course Asgardian, because they actually do a nice thing, 3D thing, where Simmons scans the I guess the outlet, the shape of the staff that was in the tree, and they make it like a three-dimensional object of it, and they of course can tell it's Asgardian, okay, and then they Coulson decides they can go visit somebody he was when they after he refers to the Thor movie, where he said when they found the hammer in New Mexico, they actually went to consult with an expert on Asgardian, you know, in in the mythology and stuff, and Norse mythology, and they go visit him, and he's played by Peter McNichol. Okay, it was always good to see. He's a good actor, a really good actor. Loved him in Dragon Slayer way back when. But anyway, and he basically tells this story about these berserker characters in Asgardian, that berserker warriors, that whenever they had the staff, they were basically berserker warriors, and they fought. They could, the staff wielding the staff, they could have immense rage and immense strength and stuff, and they would be these famous warriors. Okay, and basically he tells a story about how they came to Earth, and then one guy kind of stayed behind, and he actually decided to give up the berserker lifestyle, as it were, and then he decided to split the staff into three different pieces. And basically, like I said, the young couple has one of the pieces, and they're looking for the other two. And basically, he gives Shield clues about finding the other two. Okay, so Shield goes off to find the other parts, and then they also show, I think, little scenes of the couple basically raging through. It was through London and stuff. And they said we are gods and stuff. So basically, I think they're basically saying they're like the young couple are basically they're trying to get young recruits to their army, because like anybody who touches a staff feels rage and gets immense power. So they're basically gathering followers. Okay, and so they go look. They get a clue for the second part of the staff, and while Ward and Sky are actually looking for it at the second location, when actually Ward runs into the professor who actually gave him the clues. Okay, and he actually touches the staff, and then he gets filled with an image from his childhood. Okay, and he basically passes out, and then you see the professor sneak off, and of course then the young couple and their followers actually find him, and then they take the staff from him. Okay, and then Ward is getting examined, and he's of course as he sets the staff, he gets these like he's feeling rage, and he's actually flashing back to an incident when when his brother basically bullied him and bullied his younger brother, and he's actually more aggressive now. Anybody that touches the staff goes berserk, basically berserk. Okay, and you see a great scene with him, and there was a great scene where he basically yelled at Sky that, Sky's trying to be comforting, and he's basically, you talk way too much. He basically yells at her, which I thought was funny as hell, and needed to be said, because Sky does talk way, way too much. Anyway, while Coulson is interrogating the professor, trying to find out why he didn't tell him what he knew, and then you see, like I said, you see Ward, trying to look at the interrogation, and then Coulson comes to him, basically tell him, I want you to channel that rage, and he takes him down, and he basically lets Ward talk to the professor, and then all of a sudden, Ward pulls out a knife to stab him, and then he grabs it and bends it, and then Coulson figures out this professor is really Asgardian. Okay, he's really Asgardian, because he's, like I say, he has the, what did he say that he knew? I forget how he said he knew, but like Asgardians don't, they heal better, faster, and all that other stuff. And he basically figures it out, that this professor is really Asgardian, and he's the one that actually decided to stay on Earth. Okay, and then he tells Coulson his story about how he wasn't a warrior. He was I think he said blacksmith, basically. I forgot the term. Another word for blacksmith, basically. And he decided to stay, and he basically separated his staff into 3 different spaces, 3 different things, and then of course he takes him to the location of the 3rd one, of course. But then they run into the young couple again, who's actually followed them there, and basically Ward grabs the other piece of the stuff. He fights the young guy, and he basically beats the crap out of him, and has both things, and he beats up the rest of the followers in the church. And of course he's getting overwhelmed with memories of his brother, being bullied by his younger brother, being bullied by his older brother, and his brother making him actually not help him, and basically threatening him that he'll throw him in the well if he tries to lower the rope to rescue his brother. So that's his a little bit of his backstory, and I thought that was good. Actually, that was a good part, that they actually showed that Ward is why he is the way he is. Okay, more of a robot. Anyway, and then the girl shows up, and then Ward goes to try to grab this again, but then that's when Agent May comes over, and she decides to take it, and she puts the remaining pieces together, and then she fights the girl and actually beats and she doesn't get overwhelmed. Usually they show when everybody grabs staff, they get overwhelmed with the memories and the rage, but she doesn't get overwhelmed. She actually puts the staff together, and she beats the crap out of the girl, and then it goes off. Then of course, Coulson talks to basically they him and the professor kind of reach an agreement where he lets the professor go, and you can tell they're actually still friends, which was kind of nice. And like I said, having Peter McNichol play that part of the professor was good, because he's a charismatic actor. He made his story believable, and he's telling his backstory about being an Asgardian and coming to Earth and wanting to stay and living all these many centuries and stuff. Anyway, you see a shot at the end where Ward is he's drinking at the bar, and Sky comes to him to try to tell him that she'll be there for him, and that we're a team and everything else. And he basically says yeah, and then you see he's kind of melting a little bit, and then he goes, you know what, okay, it's a long night, and he says good night and kind of blows her off and leaves. And then you see him going into his room, and then Agent May, you see her with a bottle, and then she goes to her room, and she leaves. She cracks the door open, okay, and then you see Agent Ward walking in and then closing the door. So they did a little chicka bow wow, which I think was good, because don't put Agent in the Sky and Ward together, because everybody thinks that's what they were going to do, put Sky and Ward together. But I like this little twist with Ward going to actually with May, who he actually has stuff in common with. Okay, that makes sense in a way. And then of course the final shot in the episode is again more Coulson, like he's getting a massage, and she tells him, he tells her that I must have fell asleep, and she goes, well, good, that must mean the massage is working. And then she says something, another thing about, damn, I forgot that stupid phrase that they keep saying. It's like, and then he wakes up in a cold sweat because he's actually dreaming about being in Tahiti and relaxing. So they keep piling it on that, you know, that something mysteriously happened to him when he died. Okay, so hopefully they'll keep, I know they keep trying to drag it out forever, but hopefully they'll either resolve it or drop it. Okay, they can drop it, I think, for a few episodes. Okay, you don't need to keep mentioning that because we saw the Avengers, but we know he died. Okay, and he's come back for this TV series. Okay, so they don't have to keep hammering it over our head over and over again. Anyway, this episode was better again than the last episode. Last episode, which I couldn't stand, especially Sky in it. And less Sky is always good. Okay, and I like the tension on Ward, and it actually gave Brett Dalton a chance to shine actually in this episode, which is good. And plus, you had Peter McNichol, which is always good. He's a good character actor. Okay, let me know what you think of this episode. Feel free to leave comments down below, and I'll give this episode a 7 out of 10. Okay, and this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.